Okay, next we discuss about the designing relational database. So basically, okay, I will slide show in here. Okay, basically, database design is a component of much larger system development process that involves extensive analysis of user needs. So this is a one of part in the system development, which is it is develop the database and design the database. So there are 6 steps to design which are collectively known as view modeling. The first of all, we must to identify entities. Begins by identifying the primary entities of the business function in question. Entities in this term are things about which the organization wishes to capture data. So the company wants to capture and want to design which one the data to capture. Okay, now we describe or we explain with actual or example in the company. The first one is purchasing department. Purchasing department is want to know the inventory status. After that, they select the purchasing department, select the supplier. This is the blue box is explain the activities of the company. After select supplier, so the purchasing department making purchase order, quantity of the purchase, yeah. And then after purchase, the supplier will deliver the goods. So the company A receiving inventory. Based on each activity, we analyze and we identify the entities. Like in the step one, purchasing department, the entities is the inventory status. Inventory status. Want to capture data in inventory status. What quantity need? One quantity to is on hand. Nah, in the select supplier, the entities is the data of supplier. For example, supplier A, the address in in this, and then the contact number phone is this, something like that. And then for making purchase order, the entities is purchase order itself. So the detail product, yeah, and the item received. The entities is item received, which is the quantity received and the price, and then uh, detail product. After we identify the entities, next we construct a data showing entity association. So it is the association between entity, or we we call it cardinality. Determine the association between entities and document them with an ER diagram. Recall the association represent business rules. The organization business rules directly impact the structure of the database table. If the database is to function properly, its designers need to understand the organization business rule as well as specific needs of individual user. So if we talk about in this diagram, we read from this purchase order contains inventory, yeah, and then adjust the inventory, and then purchase order sent to supplier, and then the supplier will send the inventory. That the receiving report, it mean update inventory because we accept the goods is so you look at this receiving report is associated with purchase order. Why? Because uh, how many you receive, it it depends on how many your purchase order. It must match. If in these two document it doesn't match, so it is a problem in the order or purchase. So next, after we construct the data model showing entity association, next we add primary keys and attributes to the model. In these steps, assign primary key to the entities in the model. The analyst should select a primary key that logically define the non-key attributes and uniquely identify its occurrence in the entity. So the primary keys is define the entity. So the primary key is just one key, one identity, and every attribute in an entity should appear directly or indirectly a calculated value in one or more user view. So to more understanding, we look in this diagram. So in each entities have a primary key. For example, in purchase order, the primary key is PO number. This is the primary identity that's define the purchase order. Purchase order number one, number two, or number three. It is a contains the inventory. Inventory have a primary key part number. For example, part one, part two, or group one, inventory group two, something like that. And then supplier, you look the supply number. For example, in accurate V001, V002, and yeah. And then for example, receiving report, receiving receipt number R0, R001, 002, something like that. And you look in below of primary key contains the attribute, the attribute. For example, in the purchase order, there are part number, description, order date, request delivery date, order quantity, unit cost, supplier name, supplier address, and supplier telephone number. And sometimes it is more like attribute in the field of data. Okay, after we construct the primary key, and then the attribute, so we normalize data model and add the foreign keys. If you look, the foreign key is the in here. So before we just read from here purchase order. So purchase order is gathered in PO item detail. So part number, order quantity, it is total. The total that is belongs to inventory, part number, description, quantity, something like that. This is total. And then the purchase order sent to supplier number, supplier name, and then it's gathered in this part, and same with receiving number. So it is a normalized data. From one is gathered in the database, and then it is affected in the other database. Yeah. So after that, after we complete the normalize, we construct the physical database. The primary and foreign keys linking the table are represented by dotted line. Create the physical table and populate them with data. This is an involved step that must be carefully planned and executed and may take many months in large installation because it's physical database. Programs will need to be written to transfer organization data currently stored in flat files or legacy database to the new relational table. After we obtain the physical database, so we prepare the physical user view. It is the output of the database, which is the output will view and will save will use by the user. A report program is used to make the view visual attractive and easy to use. Column heading can be added, field sum, and average calculated to produce a hard copy or computer screen report that resemble the original user. For example, in the previous part, we look for example, inventory status or account payable outstanding or vendor summary and something like that. So it is a database for user view. Okay, after we design the database in this part, in this part we discuss about the some tools to for data extraction, audit tools for data extraction. The first one is the embedded audit module, EAM. The objective is also known as continuous auditing, is to identify important transactions while they are being processed and extract copy of them in real time. An EAM is a specially programmed module embedded in a host application to capture predetermined transaction types for subsequent analysis. Transactions selected by the EAM can be reviewed for proper authorization, completeness, and accuracy of processing, and correct posting to account. It is depends on the audit objective by the auditor. So basically, the embedded audit module is the real-time data extraction. But any disadvantages of EMs? The first one, we the disadvantages in the operational efficiency. EAM decrease operational performance. The presence of an audit module within the host application might create significant overhead, especially when the amount of testing is extensive. So we conduct more in the EAM, use EAM. EAM more more expensive to operate this because it is the high technology. And then the verifying EAM integrity. The EAM approach may not be a viable audit technique in environment with a high level of program maintenance. When host application undergo frequent changes, the EAM embedded within the host will also require frequent modification. So the integrity of the EAM directly affects the quality of the audit process. And then the next approach or the next tool is generalized audit software. Generalized audit software is most widely used in GAAP for information system auditing. Generalized audit software allow auditors to access electronically coded data files and perform various operations on their contents. In the case of generalized audit software, it can using to access simple structure and using to access complex structure. The simple structure, for example, extract key information needed for the audit, including for this part we discuss about the quantity, I mean the inventory, including the quantity on hand, the dollar value, and the warehouse location of each inventory item. The auditor task is to verify the existence and value of the inventory by performing a physical count of representative sample of the inventory on hand. Thus, on the basis of a materiality threshold provided by the auditor, the guest generally generalize audit software, select the sample record, and prepare the report containing the needs information. So it helps the auditor to do the data extraction for the company. Why gas is the most popular? Because the first one, gas or just language, generalized audit software language are easy to use and require little computer background on the part of of the auditor. So it is more easy. And then many guest product can be used on both mainframe and PC system. And then the auditors can perform their tests independent of the client computer service staff. And the last, generalized audit software can be used to audit the data stored in most file structure and format. So it is more flexible to use these tools. And then the last tools is ACL software. ACL was designed as a meta language for auditor to access data stored in various digital formats and to test them comprehensively. In fact, many of the problems associated with accessing complex data structure have been solved by ACL's Open Database Connectivity Interface, ODBC interface. So in the previous software, we embedded audit module, or generalized audit software. Many problem in the using GAs to access complex structure. So the SL software can solve the problem. Okay, now we we describe and we discuss about the feature in the ACL. The first one, data definition. One of ACL strength is the ability to read data stored in most format. So the most format can read by ACL. It is easy to use. ACL use the data definition feature for this purpose. So it we can adjust the data definition in the ACL. To create a data definition, the auditor needs to know both where the source file physically reside and its field structural layout. And the next feature is customizing a view. ACL allows the auditor to customize the original view created during data definition to one that better meets his or her audit needs. It can customize the view of the software. The auditor can create and reformat new views without changing or deleting the data in the underlying file. Just customize the view. And the next feature is filtering data. Filters are expression that search for record that meets the filter criteria. ACL expression builder allow the auditor to use logical operators such as and, or, not, and other to define and test condition of any complexity and to process only those records that meet specific condition. For example, the data in the range of date. For example, in this month, the other month is not is the is doesn't matter, just need in this data in this month. So the auditor can adjust and can filter the data by date or the data by the supplier in specific area. It is depend on auditor needs. And stratifying data. ACL stratification feature allow the auditor to view the distribution of record that fall into specific strata. The data can be stratified on any numeric field such as sales price, unit cost, quantity sold, and so on. It can be stratified. The data are summarized and classified by strata, which can be equal in size, scale interval, or vary in size. The auditor can adjust it. And the last feature is statistical analysis. ACL offers many sampling methods for statistical analysis that we learn in the auditing, especially auditing 2. Two of the most frequently used are record sampling and monitor unit sampling MUS, and each method allow random and interval sampling. The choice of method will depend on the auditor strategy and the composition of the file being audited. So if we in the thing two, we study about the method, the concept, and the step in the audit. So in this part, in the information system audit, we more explain and we more understand about the software, about the information system. So yeah, that is our presentation, and sorry if any mistakes, and thank you for your attention in this video, and you can ask the question in the for discussion. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.